with Prater and the Ballgame. You just can't stop them. You can only hope to contain them. Mike Prater and Johnny Mallory on Sports Radio 95.3 FM and 1350 AM. The Ticket.
Bob Behler sitting in for Johnny Mallory. He'll be back tomorrow. Mike Prater alongside JP across the glass. And 27 Boise State football players are in NFL. I should say 27 Idaho connections. For Boise State, 16 from Idaho, 5, 2 from Idaho State, and then 4 others that went to high school in Idaho but played collegiately at other schools. All right, Prater, let's run down what some of these guys are doing. Give us an idea of whether they helped themselves, didn't help themselves, and I'm going to start with the 2 guys that play for Washington, Charles Leno, who is projected as the starter at left tackle, and John Bates, who I believe is the number 2 tight end.
That is correct. And a little curious about John Bates, what's going on there. Rumors are that he might have a little bit of an injury issue. Through 2 preseason games, John Bates has not played. And that's a little concerning to me because Logan Thomas is the projected starting tight end for the Washington Commanders. Logan Thomas came off the PUP list today. He's been injured. And now the idea is to get him folded back into practice and see if he can get that starting job back. But the fact that John Bates did not play at all, just something to keep an eye on. Usually when you're not playing in the preseason, that might be a good thing. But and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm very, very curious. Charles Leno started last week and had 22 snaps. He had this week off, probably as planned. And no worries about Charles Leno, who will be the starting left tackle for the Commanders.
One team that has had some issues getting people healthy in the offensive line is Tampa Bay. Good news for John Molchon?
I think so. I think so. And again, you always try to read into preseason stuff. And John Molchon came off the bench last week for 35 snaps. This week, he came off the bench for only 12 snaps. That tells me they may need to protect him. If you guys read the news over the weekend, the Buccaneers lost another offensive lineman. Their offensive lineman, I mean, Tom Brady, I mean, no wonder he went to the Bahamas and he came back in bubble wrap because his offensive line is going to be an absolute disaster. Tampa Bay played 6 guards in this game. John Molchon was one of them. So I don't think he's going to make the active roster unless there's more issues with injuries. But I'm 100% convinced that John Molchon will at least stay with the organization and will keep making a paycheck and still getting a chance to get the job done.
The Minnesota Vikings only mustered 7 points in their home preseason game with the 49ers. 2 members of Boise State's past teams are on that Viking offense. Ezra Cleveland in the offensive line and Alexander Madison at running back. What do those guys do?
Cleveland had 8 snaps in the start last week, did not start this week. That's as expected as he's going to be a starting guard for the Vikings. And Alexander Madison, again, as expected, has started both games. Last week he had 3 carries for 8 yards on 8 snaps. And this weekend he had 3 carries for 17 yards with a long of 13, again, on 8 snaps. So Alexander Madison the last 2 weeks, they've marched him out for the first couple of drives of the game, sat him down. He is clearly number 2 behind Dalvin Cook.
Sticking with former Boise State players on the offensive side of the ball, the Dolphins spent big money for Cedric Wilson. I did not see a catch for him. Did he play?
He started the game. He took 13 snaps. There were 36 different targets to 14 different pass catchers throughout this game, and none of them went to Ced Wilson. So he was out there for at least the first series, maybe the first couple of series, got those 13 snaps, but they didn't even throw the ball at him. Last week, he took 8 snaps. He got 3 targets, caught 3 balls, and for 29 yards. So a little bit of a difference there, but we certainly don't want to overreact on preseason Monday.
John Hightower trying to stick with the Eagles for another season. He played against the Browns.
Yeah, he had 1 target, 1 catch for 7 yards, 35 snaps after not playing last week. Multiple different reporters came out today with their projected 53-man roster. I think John Hightower's in trouble. At this point, he's got to hope for a practice squad spot.
Brett Rippon and Khalil Shakir played against each other, Prater, in the Broncos and Bills matchup. More on Shakir with the preseason voice of the Bills, Andrew Catalon at 5:15.
Yeah, and Shaq, you guys have heard the stories, 3 for 3 for 59 yards, along a 25, a fair catch on a punt return. He has caught all 8 passes that have been thrown to him over 2 preseason games. he's about as efficient and perfect as you can possibly be right now. And Brett Rippon, talk about efficient and close to perfect. 22 of 26 over the weekend against third stringers, second stringers, fourth stringers for 191 yards and a touchdown. He also rushed a couple of times, including a 6-yard rush. I think he even picked up a first down, scampered to get out of bounds. Brett Rippon is doing everything he possibly can to keep this number 3 job and stay on the practice squad.
Avery Williams plays tonight for the Falcons. Jeremy McNichols on injured reserve for the Steelers. Moving over to the defensive side, couple Cowboys. I don't think either DeMarcus Lawrence or LVE played.
They did not play last week. They were listed in the NFL game book as coming off the bench this week, but neither one of them had a snap. Neither one of them had a stat. I don't think DeMarc or LVE played this weekend. If they did, they walked out on the field and walked back in. Those guys are cement. They're starters. No problem there.
Curtis Weaver on the Browns. I think he had a sack, I think I saw.
Bob, Curtis Weaver might be the busiest guy in all of preseason football. He had 30 snaps last week. He had 48 snaps this week. That is 78 preseason snaps in 2 games. He's only got a couple of tackles, a couple of assists. He did have a sack this past weekend. So he's getting a little bit of production, but maybe not as many as he's playing. But Curtis Weaver is absolutely getting a chance to make this roster.
Last night when I came home at the very end, saw the last 2 minutes of the Cardinals game against the Ravens. Tanner Vallejo get in?
Tanner Vallejo did not play in 2 straight games. I think that's good news because they have high hopes from him. Keep an eye on Tanner Vallejo.
And the last defensive player for Boise State, David Moa. Giants beat the Bengals. Did Moa help?
Yeah, he came off the bench. He had 30 snaps, not a single stat, no production whatsoever. I'm not sure if that's good or not. Last week he came off. He had 21 snaps last week with a couple of different stats as well. So David Moa is, at least he's getting some work and he's hanging on and he's trying to get some stuff done. Some of these other guys from across the valley, Jesse Davis, the offensive lineman that's supposed to start at guard with Ezra Cleveland for the Vikings. He's out of Idaho. He did not play. The Ellis brothers were in camp. I'm looking. There's nothing. Nobody even did anything too big out of the Idaho Vandals. Tanner Connor, the Idaho State tight end, now with the Dolphins. He's our freak athlete that we had on this show. Had some nice catches last week. 3 targets, 3 catches. Came off the bench this week. Actually, he did not even play this week. And then Taysom Hill, the new tight end for the Saints, he came off the bench, 9 snaps, 1 catch. I think he's going to be pretty productive this year running around as a tight end. We won't be seeing him as a quarterback anytime soon.
Right now, sitting with 27 players with Idaho connections in the NFL, Prater, how many do you think survive?
Well, tomorrow's another cut day. I would imagine a couple of these guys might get cut tomorrow, and then everything's down to 53 next week, and then the 16-person practice squads are juggling. One person to keep an eye on, Jonah Williams, the kid out of Rocky Mountain High School. He's a defensive tackle for the Rams. He started the preseason on the injured reserve future list. I'm not even sure what that means, but he played this past weekend. He started. He got a quarterback strip sack. He got 4 tackles. Nice statement game for Jonah Williams, one of 4 high school kids. I say out of 27, a couple may get cut tomorrow. A couple more may get added back to the practice squad. And when the season starts here in a couple of weeks, I'm going to say 18 will be on active roster. 15 to 18 of these players will be on active rosters in the NFL. And about a half of the other ones will be on practice squads.
And that's your NFL preseason update of the Idaho Connections. The Ticket app is new and improved. Make sure you have the latest version by downloading or updating from your phone's app store. Easy access to every interview or episode of Idaho Sports Talk. Stream us anytime from wherever you are. You can listen to the daily Bronco Focus segments as well as all kinds of other things on Idaho Sports Talk. We'll be available on your schedule on our app at ktik.com. JP's got an update. He'll put Trey Merritt's PGA season in perspective. JP has that next on Sports Radio The Ticket.
You're listening to Idaho Sports Talk with Prater and the Ballgame on Sports Radio